attention is a massive challenge, deficit resource that we don't have available to us. So the new normal that we are operating in terms of performance is different. The rules have changed in terms of ability and capability and energy and spend that we have because our neural pathways have now got this urge and this desire to be fed with news and other information. So we know how the outside forces of technology has got in the way of attention and resources. So we deal with that in certain ways in the workplace by allowing for certain distractions in and to agree up front, I will be distracted if my husband calls me and if my boss shows up, for example, but all the other distractions for the next hour or so, I'm going to stay in the zone with the promise that they're my alarm settings and anything else I'm not going to allow in. So we are building this into self in the workplace through how we coach. How is our new normal and our brain change in its desire to be fixed by data and phones and blue screens? How is that impacting sports?
It's a fascinating question, without doubt. Completely agree. And by the way, this distraction and the speed for immediate gratification and search for constant technology, social media, it's speeding up, not slowing down. So I think the success, to answer the question, traditionally in sport, let's take the pre-match team talk, for example. The manager or the head coach will stand at the front and the players will sit down and he will talk or she will talk and deliver the game plan for 15-20 minutes. And it's something that the players are used to. And some managers believe that players should not have their phones, that no technology should be used whatsoever in and around the team talk and in the dressing room. And some believe that there's a different way. Okay. So traditionally, the way has been absolutely cast iron, no phones, no technology. You're going to listen to me for the next 20 minutes and I want your undivided attention. Yeah. We know as human beings that the reality is at some point during that talk, the mind might get distracted, right? Might wander off. So the best way that I've seen this embraced, this new phenomenon of trying to retain attention in a modern day world, is that the players come in knowing that they are going at some point to have a contribution to this team talk. So it's a concentration check. So it might be that one player is answering a question about the tactics or a 4-4-2, or how do you respond when the false 9 drops in the middle of the midfield and what problem that causes. Now, what do you think about that, John? Okay. So John might give the answer, but Steve, how do you feel about what John just said? And all the way at the back there, over there, Dave, what about? So now I have to stay concentrated, because if I don't, then I'm on the spot and I don't know and I haven't been focused. The other way is to embrace technology. So in dressing rooms, in the dressing room at Aston Villa, for example, there's various different ways that players can interact with technology. They get to look on the iPads, on their clips, they get to study the opposition, they get to look at the game plan, they get to look at the set pieces. And in some cases, down at Brentford, when I used to work there, the players were allowed to take pictures in the team talks and analysis sessions of specific moments. They'd be able to write notes on their phone, and the manager was completely okay with that, as long as that they were using the device as part of being connected to the interaction of the purpose for being in that room.
Great.
And the other thing is that generally players tend to respect a leader, well, in football anyway, who is able to be to evolve with the times. I mean, I guess it's a belief of the head coach and what type of culture and environment they want to set. Yeah. But I've seen players really respect the fact that here we have a head coach who understands that it's a fast-paced world. And, you know, my phone or my iPad could be one of the best things to help me learn in a modern day world. So maybe not all technology is bad.
I agree. And I think it's about understanding how to blend it and leverage it. I think the thing that we work hard at doing, and we've noticed this in our diploma courses, we get ages from 21 up to we don't ask, and everything in between. And the degree to which and the focus to which someone can listen, that to even an instruction or a talk never mind retain it, but actually to concentrate enough to listen, because we know the attention span has gone down to less than a goldfish now, which is ridiculous, and our mind wanders in that space. So we have learned the art of listening, because that's our job and it's what we do and we're very interested in. But the younger players that will be coming up that haven't got their boots yet will come in with a chemistry and a brain mapping neuropathway system that won't have the degree of listening that we grew up with, or that we've learned. So we're starting from a different place, and how do we get them to listen? So we are using different techniques to keep attention long enough to get the listening landed, check the concentration level and that it's landed enough for them to go out and have a ripple effect or cascading effect with that listening. So we can see it probably, well, I can see how we test that in business very easily, because if they don't come back with the results, or the performance doesn't show up, or there isn't the measure of output that you would expect if they were listening. So we can test that. There's lots of tracking and checking and return on investment that we can use. How do you do that in sports though? Where's that fine line between you having to change how you communicate versus them being told off for not listening, and that's because their brain is? Can you see a shift in even coaching as a skill set in getting that newer brain that's coming up to listen better, to get the information across?
For sure, there is a shift in coaching, and so there's this idea that it takes as much skill, if not more skill, to ask the right questions in the right way, at the right time, with the right player or person, as it does to know all the answers.
Brilliant, yeah.
The power of questioning is something that as coaches I feel that we underestimate, or has certainly not been taught in coach education over the years in environments that facilitate high performance.
We can help you with that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? I think one of the best examples that I've seen is of West Bromwich Albion Football Club. They actually have a part of their program, their athletic development program, is that the young players, the academy players, as part of their day, will come into the building when they finish training and be part of a performance conversation with each other. You could just call it a debrief of training.
Yeah.
But it's the job of, they have speakers and listeners, so A and B, and then they'll rotate, but it could be for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Now in this space, there is no phones, there is no technology, the screens aren't on, there's no whiteboard, there is no TV in the background, there's not even a radio playing. It is purely an environment of me and you speaking, having a human interaction, and me asking you questions about certain things that you've seen, or that you did, or that you felt in the training session. In that space, there's the opportunity to train conversational concentration.
Great.
And so in this environment, if society is moving further and further away from this human interaction, silly things like when I go to Tesco's or Sainsbury's back at home, and I noticed this the other day. I just got back from Chicago and I went into Tesco's and I was picking up some bread and some things for the house.
Yeah.
And I looked around and I noticed that there was a lot of people in the self-service checkout area. So that actually there was only 1 or 2 tills where a human being was operating this till.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself that how great that was, that technology helps the company to be more efficient. They probably turn over high sales. There's no fuss. The customers like the efficiency.
Yeah.
But the paradox of that I guess the trade-off of that is that we lose that human interaction. We lose the opportunity to say to the person behind the till, how's your day going? And they say, well, I finish at 9 o'clock. I've got 15 minutes to go. It's been a really long day. Oh, has it? Yeah, I know what you mean. I was, I'm about to go to work and I just thought I'd come in and do some shopping. And all of a sudden, that human interaction has changed the landscape of the experience in the shop.
Totally.
And we discover something in that moment that modern day society, with the use of technology, is in danger of removing. So in the academy at West Brom, by structuring that environment with young players early enough, they're able to accept that as common practice. And what would probably have been a very natural, organic human experience for you and I growing up, it may be manufactured, but with purpose. If we do that enough, those principles transfer onto the pitch, and you start to see a team that communicates more. You start to see a team that gets into a huddle before the start of the game.
Yeah.
You start to see a team that actually, when there's a break in play, 2 or 3 players get together and they speak about something that's happening.